Business with a servant's heart. Welcome to the podcast. Inspiration, motivation takes. Listen to the podcast. We're all about to talk about life. Our guests will share their life story. We want you to success in life and business. We're ready and we will start shortly. We're gonna talk about life. We're going to speak on business. You're gonna shine bright. We are going to witness. Business with a servant's heart. With hosts Steve, Ramona, and Ray. Inspiration, education talks. Listen to the podcast. Steve, Ramona.
Welcome, everyone, to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart podcast. I'm your host, Steve Ramona. I am so fired up to have you join us today. Wait till you meet my guests. This is my second time meeting them. 5 minutes in our pre-show, we're laughing, joking, having a great time, but being serious. She's going to show you both sides of that. This podcast, which is broadcast, is dedicated to this inspiring message, a servant's heart, how you can incorporate that in your work and your life. Here's the powerful thing. Make a difference or an impact in somebody's life or somebody's life, multiple people. We're bringing guests on. They're going to motivate you, inspire you, and educate you, either from a servant's heart perspective, business, life, whatever it may be, but their stories will tell, their thoughts will tell, their value they give will tell. So take a pad and paper and take some notes. Here's your homework today. Speaking of pad and paper, I want you to think about how you're going to serve yourself and others today, and what impact you're going to create today. Keyword, let's circle, is today. Everything in life, we wait, we push off, we wait, we push off. This is really important. You go serve somebody today, you're going to feel great. I get to do it every day, and it's the most powerful feeling in the world. It could take you out of a lot of doldrums. So go ahead and serve people today. With that being said, I want to thank my sponsor, Pantheon Alliance. Imagine joining a community of high-income entrepreneurs and business leaders to create this world-changing thought leader platform to help grow your business, but also impact and make a difference. For more information on Pantheon, just reach out to me and I'll get you an invite and get you all involved with that. With that being said, impact. How does a coach impact? How does a coach impact a business? Make a difference? Transform? Well, my coach has been doing it for a while. I know she looks very young, but she's been doing it for many years, and she's been very successful at it. She's going to give you some great ideas, tips, and inspiration on how you can do it as well. Whether you're an entrepreneur or have 2,000 employees, it doesn't matter. The general theme crosses all those bridges. With that being said, let's bring Hannah to the show. Welcome, Hannah.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me.
What inspired you to transform business people?
Being a business person myself. I think that's so often what happens, right? It's just coming from our own story and experience. I was super drawn to it. Yeah.
Were you successful as a business owner?
Yes. I have been fortunate to be a coach for 14 years, and I started with a coaching agency. And it was, to answer that question in a little bit more depth, I had the opportunity to serve a lot of different people in the 4 years that I was with this coaching agency, because I was serving 30 to 50 clients at a time. And so I got a lot of exposure to a lot of different people, and quickly found that I was very drawn to and was able to get the best results with business leaders, and just seeing the visionary, high achieving, on mission kind of people that tend to make up the majority of who business owners are. So I was really drawn to serving them and seeing them succeed. And I was also personally hitting burnout in the coaching agency because I was serving 30 to 50 clients at a time. And I knew coaching was my path forward, but I had to change how I was doing it to make it sustainable, which is what inspired me to become a business owner myself, walk the road. And I had done some business ownership before coaching as well. That's another story. My pre-coaching days, but I knew I was cut out to be a business owner. And I have been so blessed to be now a 10-year business owner in the coaching space.
That's fantastic. So yeah, I told you, it's been many years. She's only 30 years old. So it's amazing when you started. Half kidding, audience. Age does not matter. Neuroscience and trauma-informed methods.
Yes.
I know a little about neuroscience, but I've never heard trauma-informed methods. Talk about those.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is, I think, a buzzword in culture today, trauma. We hear like, oh, trauma and triggered. And those words, while I'm grateful that it's becoming a more common, less taboo conversation because everyone has experienced it, I do think it's really important to understand what trauma actually is, because it can get misused or overused quite a bit. But I really felt like it was a non-negotiable, to be honest, in my own process of healing, transformation, growth, to be a healthy human and therefore a healthy business owner. I felt really compelled to bring that into my coaching methodology as well to serve my clients, because bottom line, every single person has experienced trauma. Now, I'm not saying, oh, we're all victims. I'm not into victim mentality, but whether it's, as people say often, big T or little t trauma, it's not about, trauma can come in many different shapes and forms. It can be chronic, long term. It can be acute, a one-off event. It can be a physical trauma. It can be, chronic trauma of the environment that you're raised in. There's so many different ways. And it's not about the event or the dynamic itself, but this is so important, how it imprints on our system, which is why I knew this was so important for me working with high achieving leaders, because there were imprints in each person's system that drives us, and trauma imprinted on our system is very powerful. It's a huge motivator. It's a huge part of like what wires us into how we get into action. And so in my work of working with high achieving, high functioning leaders, and them getting into just severe depletion and burnout and operating in survival, getting to the root cause of, we have unresolved trauma that is getting you into action. It's triggering those action mechanisms that, while in business and in leadership may get you really powerful results, are coming at a really high personal cost. Your stress is driving you, your fear is driving you, all those things that come from trauma. So the trauma-informed piece of my method is not to go, oh, let's coddle you, you poor thing. It's really to go, there's a place of care that needs healing that brings you back into greater wholeness as an individual, greater strength, greater resilience. So now you're not just a leader, you're an internally healthy leader.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Sometimes people battle with trauma. Oh, I have this trauma. No, I had this, kind of play trauma like a ping pong table. And it's
absolutely,
they're all not good. Doesn't matter what it is. If
not a competition, this isn't a cool
thank you.
club to be in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think business leaders who want to be servant leaders need to do to jump that? Because I think you go from a business leader and a servant leader is the next level. Just my thoughts.
Yeah.
Nobody else has said that. What do you think?
I mean, I agree. Because you can have somebody who is in leadership, who knows how to galvanize people well, to bring an initiative across the finish line, to hit goals, that kind of thing. They know how to make stuff happen, right? But then servant leadership is, to me, it's a shift from here. Who am I? How am I hitting my KPIs? How am I achieving? What does my success metric look like? And servant leadership is truly others first. How do I actually make my team succeed? Not how am I galvanizing my team to make me succeed? There's this powerful shift. And specifically in like who I work with, I do not believe, just like you said, opinion here. I'm not going to make a, factual statement, but when you have unresolved dysfunction inside of yourself, like let's say, part of your dynamic as a leader is being a workaholic. There are drivers, there are survival mechanisms. Like being a workaholic is not a personality trait. That's a survival coping mechanism. Somewhere in your story, you learned that unless I work really, really hard, every person's experience is different. People are going to be disappointed in me. People are going to realize I'm a loser. People are going to realize I have nothing to bring to the table. And boom, we engage with workaholism to push hard and get results, to prove to ourselves in the world, I'm worth something. So the problem with this, while you can be producing results for your company, producing results in the world, here's the sneaky thing. And this might be a little offensive here, but I'm going to go for it. It's still about you. You're not in service. It's still about you. It's about your fear, your insecurity, your whatever. So even while you may be creating powerful external results, the internal driver that's getting you into action is still about you. So what I would challenge is, how can you be a servant leader when the core things that are driving you are still about you? And that's where I say we've got to take care of the leader so that they can elevate into servant leadership, where it's like, it doesn't have to be about me anymore. I don't have anything to prove to myself or to others. I'm not driven by stress. Like, you can truly be genuinely outwardly focused, not so internally consumed and driven.
You're a rock star, because my heart is singing, because I used to be that workaholic, thinking if I didn't have 10 meetings a day, which I took, sometimes 12, and I
Yeah.
looked at my calendar and either 4 people canceled or I didn't book 10 meetings, I wasn't being productive.
Yep.
And when I dropped down to 3 meetings a day, I was more productive.
Mhm.
I'm living what you just said. I
Yeah.
told you my story, and part of it's because of that. Audience, I hope you took that, because it changed my life immensely. And let's talk about burnout, because I think I was burning. Oh, no, I don't think I was, because I'm pushing the cart up the hill and coming back.
Right.
Talk about burnout. You talked about a little bit at the start here. How can business leaders avoid that, especially when it's their business they own and they have these people they got to take care of?
Absolutely. So, I think there are multiple things that can lead to burnout. I don't think there's just one path to burnout. There are options. Like, I think I've worked with people where, one of the root causes of their burnout was because they were doing so much that was out of alignment with what they were really made for. If you're familiar with like the 6 types of working genius, or these different, there's so many different options, like go read Rocket Fuel, visionary integrator. When we're operating in roles that carry a lot of responsibility, that really aren't aligned with our core strengths, our giftings, you're going to burn out when you're working so hard in something that is really not aligned with what you're made for. So there can be that. There's this statement I love about burnout, that sometimes burnout is doing too much of what you don't love, but oftentimes burnout is not doing enough of what you love. It's like, hey, are you doing something that is really aligned for you, where you go, that matters to me? Something you said right in the intro. It's like, we have these 4 core, I'm in neuroscience. We have these 4 core primal needs as humans that help us feel safety and thrive just in our day-to-day function. And we also have these 2 higher level spiritual needs that when they are met, we thrive as a human. And those 2 spiritual needs are growth and contribution. We are made to contribute to the world. We thrive. You said it, man, when you go from, what was it? How do you say it? Transactional to, I don't remember your phrase, but
Be transformational, not transactional.
right. When you shift focus in, like when you're serving people, leading people, delivering something, and it's not, what do I have to do, but how can I contribute? It meets that deep spiritual need and you thrive. So when you look at yourself and you're like, is anything that I'm doing really challenging and contributing to my growth and allowing me to contribute to the world in a meaningful way? If those 2 core components are missing, you're going to burn out, because that's what our soul thrives on. But if we get practical, driving it more into kind of the center and core of how, just what I see day in and day out with the people that I serve, is so much burnout stems from those unhealthy stress triggers, those mechanisms, those drivers that get us into action as leaders. So I have never met a high achieving type A missional visionary leader who is kind of that laissez-faire attitude about life. They're just incongruent. They are go-getter. They are on a mission. And the thing is, they know how to get into action really well. But the question is, what is getting you into action? Is it fear or is it desire? Is it pain or is it purpose? Because like fear and pain, highly motivating. Like it will get you into action. Like fear, it's that word that nobody wants to acknowledge. We don't like to admit that we're afraid. So we put words on it like, oh, I'm stressed, or I'm under a lot of pressure. I'm like, you're afraid. You're afraid of letting people down. You're afraid of not hitting the goal. You're afraid of failing. You're afraid of disappointing yourself, whatever it may be. So much of our stress, almost all of it, is rooted in fear. So fear, highly compelling motivator to get us to do something like, how do I avoid this pain? How do I avoid this potential failure or disappointment? And it will get us into powerful action and get us into results. And if our success metric is just our results, well, I got the results, so what's the problem? The problem is that while fear is a very compelling motivator, it is also very demanding of you personally. It will drain you mind, body, and soul, because fear does not discriminate. Fear drains your mental, emotional, and nervous system, physical energy so much more than, let's look at the flip side. So we have fear and pain, or we have like purpose and desire of, I want to serve in this way. This desire driven, mission driven, where you go, okay, so if I want to see that desire fulfilled, what action must I take? The simple shift in the external action and results can look identical, but internally, what is getting you into action is radically different. And that is the number one reason I see leaders burn out, is because they're leaning into the fear and avoidance of pain motivator to get them into action versus the safety of just desire and purpose, where they're like, I'm whole, I'm okay, I have nothing to prove. So therefore, what's getting them into action is desire and purpose, that compels them forward from a very different place. And you're like, I'm working just as hard, but because the internal driver is radically different, I'm not burning out. Wait a second, because you're not depleting your mental, emotional, spiritual, resources like crazy from fear. In fact, it's like, it's life-giving. I'm sure you know this. You live this
Exactly what
reality.
happened.
You can pour
Exactly what
out,
happened.
you can invest in things, but because it's focused towards something you desire, something you believe in, because it's not self-focused, it's truly others focused. You're now in contribution. It's like, wow, I just worked a crazy long day, and yeah, I'm tired, but man, my soul is full. You're not burned out.
Yeah.
So I know it's a long answer, but
It's all right.
when you're going like, what would you say to a leader? I'm like, the number one recommendation I would make is be radically honest with yourself as you take inventory of, if I'm being really honest, what are my core, if I'm feeling burnout or I'm feeling the edge of it, I can see it coming on the horizon. What are my motivators? Like, what is kicking me into action? What is getting me into this high performance function? Is it going to drain the life out of me and bring me to the edge of a cliff? Or is it going to be life-giving, where there's an energy exchange? As I put energy out, energy comes right back in.
It's powerful. Burnout is avoided when serving. That's what I got from that. I wrote that down. I like to have ROIs of serving, and that's a powerful one, because I've never felt burnt out. I could serve 5 people today, jump on a call, help them out, mentor them. And it's much different than jumping on a call, getting to know somebody, or saying no to some type of pitch that somebody's given me or whatever. I love that audience. This is why a servant's heart is so powerful in business. It's super powerful in life, but for obvious reasons. But holy moly.
It's good to have, just those healthy boundaries. So speaking as somebody who's very deeply passionate about what I do, like, I love it. I love what I do, and I believe in it so fiercely. I have to be careful to not overextend, not out of fear, but out of like the passion and belief in what I'm doing. So I will say one simple caveat: healthy boundaries, because you are this gets into another thing. You're a human being, not a human doing. We are called human beings. We are not called human doings. So you can't always be doing. Part of being a healthy servant leader is you know when to rest. You recognize in humility, I am not a machine. I can't just run off of love and passion in a servant's heart. Like, I am still human. I have a limited human capacity, and all of my go-getters hate it when I say that. Like, it's so uncomfortable for them to acknowledge I have a limit. I have a limit on energy. I have a limit on time. It is healthy for me. It is in service to myself and others when I go, and I need to rest. And maybe I do need to block that time in my calendar just to breathe, because I am a human being, not a human doing. But overall, in general, yes, Yes, absolutely, to what you're saying.
No, I love the boundaries because I've found, and you probably have as well, when you serve more and more, people get to, oh, meet Steve, meet Hannah. They're, oh my God, they spent 10 minutes with me and they're helping me. And I get all these calls, which again, now I cut those calls back. Instead of 5 a day, I'll do it 2 a day. And that's the boundaries. It's exactly, audience, exactly what I did, exactly that. She just coached me without even knowing she coached me. I don't know how I figured it out. Probably talking to you, part of it. The other thing where I think life and business cross over, we try to balance it. We don't balance it. We try. But being a mom and a parent, how has that helped you in your coaching practice?
Oh my goodness. Exponentially. I mean that. It has made me a better business owner and a better coach, without doubt. Because to your point, I don't believe that we can separate life and business. We love as humans to put things in compartments because it helps us organize it and manage it. But in reality, it's all together in our minds, in who we are as a human. It's all intermeshed. And so I always talk about work life or business and life integration, because I don't think we can have this beautiful balance. It's like, how does it integrate well? So how this has made me being a mom has made me a better business owner, a better coach, is I knew going into motherhood, I have some non-negotiable values that if I compromise them, it will be some of my greatest regrets. Just going like, I have been gifted with the immense, to me, just unmatched blessing of being entrusted with children. Like, I'm being trusted with another person's life. So I sat down, in pregnancy and went, so I'm stepping into a new season of life. Like, my current value structure is changing. My priority structure is changing because I'm shifting into another season of life. So what is of utmost importance to me? I was like, yes, I don't want to, I focused on what I wanted. I didn't focus on my fear and what I want. Oh no, what if, because that's what my brain wanted to default to. Oh, what if I become less of a coach? What if I'm a horrible mom and I experience that mom guilt that so many people talk about? What if I see a decrease in value, in quality and excellence in what I'm doing across the board? And I went, well, if I'm not willing to accept that, then what must occur? What must change? And so becoming a mom really refined and honed my values like you would not believe. I became radically clear on what really mattered and what was kind of a wash. You talk about cutting out the busy work, like you were saying, like you talk about having to go, I can't do all the busy work to make myself feel productive. Like, I'm going to hone down to what really, really matters. Like, I learned how to delegate and to eliminate like you would not believe. Delegate, eliminate, automate. I became very radically clear. And you talk about a humility trip of realizing what you're not really needed for. Your ego says, oh yeah, I've got to do it. And you're like, no, I don't. Becoming a mom increased my efficiency. Again, it was just like, man, I'm actually wasting a lot of time. Like, if I really value investing so well in my clients and so well in my family, I've got to use my time well. And I learned how to value my time far more than I ever had before. Like, do you realize the absolute rich gift and value of your time and the fact that it is the only non-renewable resource? I can make more money. I can do more stuff. I can't create more time. So it absolutely required me to recognize the absolute value, in priceless value of my time, which then again honed. I learned how to cut the fluff and just like, nope. And I completely restructured my business to prioritize my life while maintaining excellence and quality and care of my clients. And so what that did was, like, I became really clear on like what was of most value to my clients, how I could create the biggest impact. Like, it prompted more certifications, more learning and education for me, because I'm like, I will not compromise on results, but I will reduce the amount of time because I had to. All of a sudden I'm a mom. I don't have as much time to give to my business. So I became smarter. I became more efficient. I valued my time like never before. And the biggest thing was, I just said, like, they don't have to compromise each other. They can complement each other. And my business will complement my family life first and foremost. But man, and just the lessons learned as a mom, 100% makes me a better business owner and coach.
What a transformation.
Yeah.
That's what I'm hearing. Massive. Which what can you teach?
Massive.
And hey, mothers out there, but fathers too, but mothers, reach out to her. I'm going to tell you right now, put your hand up and go, I got to talk to her, because I think it can happen. It's just things have to change. You have to transform and be different.
I had to become a very, very different, I don't want to say different version of myself, a much stronger vision, like clear visioned version of myself.
Yeah, you just have to do things different. You got a human being to take care of.
And I had to deal with the skeletons in my closet that I was still avoiding, that stuff that was going to trip me up and exhaust me. I had to clean house. Yeah. Transformation. Absolutely.
Amen to that. What a blessing you are. What a great show. We come to the end, but I want to learn a little bit more about you. So sure. I've got a reservation at a restaurant, table of 4. You're going to sit in one of the chairs. In the 3 empty chairs, who would you invite, whether they're dead or alive? And what food would you order for the table?
For the table. Okay, what immediately came to my mind, because this is my favorite meal as a kid, and it's not the fanciest meal, but it's still my favorite meal to make for my family, and I love serving it to my friends. It's like that love meal, you know what I mean? I would order like the best homemade spaghetti to the table. I love me a good bowl of pasta, and my mom's homemade spaghetti is my favorite recipe. I would want to order that for the table.
Amen. Holy moly.
And 3 people I would want there. This is hard. One of the first people that comes to mind is Martin Luther King Jr. I would love to have a conversation with him. I would love to talk to Michael Phelps. I think he's one of the most interesting. I grew up, I love the Olympics. I don't know about you. I love the Olympics, and some of those athletes were like my heroes as kids. And I was a swimmer, and I would love to have a conversation with Michael Phelps. So this is so hard. Why do you put me in this position? Last person.
I love it.
Oh man.
Someone that pops to your head. Some of you have been read or seen or inspires you, motivated you.
Let's see. This one's a wild card. Okay.
Love wild cards.
Left field. Because he's mentioned very briefly, but Stephen, the first martyr in scripture.
Oh yeah.
It fascinates me.
Ooh, it's a first. 400 of these questions.
I told you, I was like, it's going to come out of left field.
It's a wild. That would be quite interesting, especially with Martin Luther King. Talk about 2 similar people.
And just the sacrifice, the conviction, the belief, just, man. Yeah. So there you go.
Well, again, thank you. This is, I knew it'd be good, but you blew this show off the water. I know people are listening going, I got to reach out to Hannah. How can they find you?
Absolutely. So you can find me online. My website is hannahabadcoaching.com, and you can, contact me there. There's a way to just reach out to me there. You can see just all the different ways that we can connect there. And I'm also on social media at Hannah Abad Coaching on Instagram and Hannah Abad on LinkedIn. I personally love direct messages. You will see that I don't post every day. I'm not that person. I don't think I ever will be, but I love the direct messages, love to connect with people in that space.
You're a true servant's heart. You filled this show very, very well. Thanks again. And
honored.
Audience, here's your homework at the end. Hope you're going to serve today, like I said. But what I want you to do is subscribe to the YouTube channel and be like, oh yeah, Steve wants more subscribers. Yeah, that's kind of cool. But it's more important because I see podcasts, not many people talk about this. I'll be very blunt. But these are gifts. As you're listening to this and you're listening to Hannah and you're going, my friend's a mom and she's trying to start a business. I love what she said. Well, instead of connect with Hannah right away, just send this link as a gift. Hey, you need to listen to Hannah for 10 minutes. It doesn't have to be the whole show. Yeah, I'm the host. I'd love for people to watch the whole show. That doesn't matter. I want to inspire people. Hannah wants to inspire people. So share that gift. And here's the cool journey. They listen and go, oh my God, I love her, which she probably will. And she reaches out to Hannah, and Hannah helps her out and changes her life. You just gave the gift of life. I know it's weird how I go there, but I believe it because I've done it and given gifts. So I think podcasts, that's why they're different than TV shows, movies, and all that. Off my soapbox, but go ahead and subscribe and grab any of these podcasts. By the way, any other millions of podcasts that you listen to, do the same thing. Share those things out. I love to see people doing that. With that being said, me and Hannah, I want to thank all of you for watching or listening to this podcast. We'll see you on the next episode of Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. Have a great day, everyone.